Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing Compania, a competitive and solo Euro economic game. And disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. In Compania, 1 to 6 players are trying to get cubes onto these different action tiles in an area majority mechanic, which will allow them to build up 3 different resource types, to be able to play these building cards that they can then use to generate income every round. And whoever gets the most money by the end of the game wins. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about the solo and competitive play in Compania. So starting at number 5, the least important to know, but still important or I wouldn't mention it, are the upgrades and powers you can gain during the game. And this is mostly a pro for my taste. So first of all, the big ones for the basic worker placement area majority mechanic. You can upgrade how many cubes you can put out every round and get more dice to increase the flexibility of how you place those cubes. That'll make more sense when I explain that mechanic later in the review. But then you also have these investments, 12 different types every game, and there's quite a lot of variety. And you can spend your money to get ongoing powers, which is always a tough choice because money is your victory points. And then also, if you're playing in the advanced game, you get a starting company that gives you a special power and different starting resources, and there are a ton of them. So even though this game isn't something like a tableau builder where you get huge comboing powers over the course of play, you do get a lot of fun and varied abilities to try out. Next to number 4 is the solo play, and this is also a full pro for my taste. Now, the big caveat for the solo, before I get into all the good stuff, is that it is basically a beat your own score mode. But putting that aside, the way solo works is really clever. So at the beginning of each round, you roll dice for each of the columns in play of action spaces, and that'll cause you to put out competing cubes on those spaces. Then you get to dial in your workers, again, we'll get to that later, and then you roll again and add more of their workers. So you get kind of this ebb and flow, this push and pull, where you can kind of see where they're focusing their forces. Also, by competing with those opposing cubes, by going into the same space as them, you get these solo points you can spend for different abilities, gives you a lot of flexibility to your options and strategy. And a really cool thing that goes with point 5 is that they also have unique solo characters that give you other ways to spend those points, other actions. So you have 6 different ways to play the game, basically. So again, besides beat your own score, the solo mode is great here. Next to number 3 are the tiles that you are trying to win area majority over as you take actions in the turn. You always start out with the same 6, but there are a ton of other ones, and they get flipped once per round. And the nice thing with these is that there is a ton of variety. So different resources are going to be more or less valuable, more or less rare each time you play, which is going to have huge ramifications for your strategy and what kind of buildings you build. Because, for example, if there's almost no green to be had, you shouldn't be building a building that sells green to make money. So I really like the variety in the action tiles and how it changes up the game's economy play to play. Next, for my number 2 point, I'm looking at the building cards that are actually the source of your economy in the game. And this is a mix for my taste. So you'll get these cards, you'll draw them through actions, you'll start with a big hand of them, and you play them to have different ways to earn money. And there's really 2 varieties of cards here. Some of them are going to change resources into money, and some of them are going to earn you money based on your area majorities on those tiles from round to round. And a neat thing is that if the cards have the same icon in the lower left corner, instead of building a card new and having to use the same resources over and over, you can just upgrade an existing card and increase the bonus you are getting for whatever resource you're spending or action you're taking. So this is definitely a lot of fun. As the game plays, you feel like you're building up a huge economic empire and the money will just come rolling in. But some negatives that do bring this back to a mix for me. The variety is not as great as it seems because, again, in the end, you're either just turning resources into money or using area majority to get money. And the other negative is that luck of the draw is a very big thing here because when you get cards that combo together, it can be pretty huge. If you get cards that are totally diverse or use resources you don't have any good way of getting, that won't be as valuable. And finally, my number 1 point, the most important thing to know about the game, and I've been kind of talking around it this entire review, is the area majority hidden worker placement mechanic. This is great. It's the most unique thing in the game. And how it works is at the beginning of each round, behind your screen, the other players can't see you, you'll take the dice that you've unlocked with the workers that you've built up, and you'll dial in which location is going to get how many workers. And then when everybody reveals their stuff, you put your cubes down and you see who is ahead. So I find this very quick, very satisfying. It does mean that the game is almost completely simultaneous in play. So even with 6 players, it is a breeze to get through. And it's also consistently tense as you try to get into each other's heads, figure out what's valuable to whom, how much are they going to invest in getting there. Now, it can also feel a little random and punishing if you keep on getting beaten out by another player, but there are some things to help with that. If you tie in a location, you both get to use the action and then both your cubes get removed. If you completely lose in a location, the winner gets to activate it, but all their cubes go away and all yours stay, so it gives you a better chance of winning it the next round. Now, of course, you might not need it as much for the next round, or they might just come in and beat you again. So there will be frustrating moments in this gameplay, but I think it's an awesome worker placement / area majority combination, really clever in competitive play, and works well in solo too, with what I already said about those randomized column placements by the bot. So overall, you might want to check out Compania if you like quick playing Euros. Again, the simultaneous play is great. If you like worker placement, there's a little bit of that. Economic games, area majority games. I think it's got a lot of really good stuff from all of those, and the solo mode works great too. But on the other hand, you might want to avoid it if you don't like randomness in your games. It does creep up some, especially with the card draw luck. Or if you're looking for a heavier game with more paths to victory, you kind of end up building similar engines each time you play. And if you want to see the game in action, the prototype preview play I did a while back is pretty much the same as the final game. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.